My name is Thomas Vale, or at least it was. I'm a photographer. I had it all. A wife, Allison, friends, a career. And in one moment it was all taken away. All because of a single photograph. I have it. They want it. And they will do anything to get the negative.
I'm Larry Hertzog, this is Ian Toynton. We were talking about how during the commentary on Through a Lens, how directors often, we communicated by telephone. We didn't meet. Ian and I finally met before Through a Lens Darkly episode.
So I'd shot 2 episodes and spoken to Larry a lot on the phone, but we never actually met face to face.
Right, and we had great directors on Nowhere Man, but when I saw Ian's film just come back in dailies form, it just was outrageous. It was, I need to marry this person quickly and they need to do everything. And it is continually amazes me that in television, where the show writers, executive producers tend to guide it as opposed to directors, that directors do have within those realms the ability to make such a big difference. But I wanted Ian to talk a little bit about how he first came in before he ever did an episode.
It was quite funny because it was very much a mutual feeling, my relationship with Larry, because when I was first given the pilot, I mean, usually on a show like this, your agent will send you the pilot and say, would you be interested in doing it? They're interested in you doing it. And I watched the pilot, and I just loved it instantly, and I knew that this was a show that I would have a great affinity for or with. There was one shot in particular, which was a 600mm shot of a car coming down a very, very long road towards, if I remember correctly, towards a crossroads. And I couldn't believe the length that this shot had been held. It just went on and on and on. And what was going through my mind is that somebody, whoever Larry Hertzog was, must have fought so hard to have achieved this shot remaining in the pilot at this length, because to me it was 100% right, and yet I knew that must have been a lot of people who would have thought it was 100% wrong to hold it that long. I knew that there was something that was good. Larry and I would have probably a very good relationship and a very positive working relationship, and we became very good friends. You're a storyteller as a director, and if you can tell it in a visually exciting way, if you can tell it in a vibrant, energized, emotional way, all these elements are terribly, terribly important. And the great thing was that the dailies we'd shoot and the dailies we'd go down to LA, and it was always exciting getting the response from Larry, because I knew that there was something you knew he would love what we were doing up there. And a great script demands of you as a director to make it a great show.
But how did you even...
It's so you can follow your dreams, Tom. So you can stay on top of the world.
Well, television too, in general, I was talking to some writers today, is basically a medium of craft. Talent is certainly wonderful and important, but it's a job. You're consuming a script a week. You have, as writers, it's get the job done. And I find that a lot of directors I had worked with in the past, they were very competent, extremely competent, but they were craftsmen, and maybe, to my book, maybe not incredibly inspired. And you could write an episode that had your heart in it on a certain level, like Through a Lens or Enemy Within, and you feel it, and you feel the color and the way it smells and how it should sound. I mean, the scripts are going to be better if it starts on the page like that. And a director will walk in to your office on the first day of prep and say, should the gun have been in the top drawer or the middle drawer? Now, even though that might ultimately be an extremely valid question, it shows the difference where many people's focus is different. I even on some commentaries on Nowhere Man, some directors going to be a little bit more, why did he go through this door instead of that door, or, da-da-da. And again, these issues might be incredibly valid, but first and foremost, what you want when you're trying to do something that excited me, which Nowhere Man happened to be that, is you want someone to come in and say, it smells this way, it looks this way, it tastes this way. Oh, and by the way, I think the gun should be in the middle drawer. Fire! Nowhere Man was a show that for some of us had a lot more emotional investment, not just whether the show was a hit or whether it wasn't, which wasn't really the big emotional investment. It was just, can we tickle every bone that is jiggling to make it everything we hope it can be?
And can we push the envelope? Can we push the envelope of, this is 10 years ago.
Right, although I know in the office, we weren't really trying to push an envelope. We were just, it's just that things that excited us were out of the box.
Yeah.
She was getting ready to leave you, wasn't she?
But it was never just to break rules. It was never
but
just...
it was we had the opportunity because the show lent itself in that direction. It gave us that opportunity.
Each script was a new world, a new tone. I mean, the show, despite many people's anxiety about it, was an anthology, you know, and we wanted to go to wonderfully interesting, fun places and surprise ourselves and everyone else each week. And it wasn't merely a matter of continuing along the line or really redoing what we did in the pilot. It was new.
If I remember correctly now, I didn't have any prep on this. Someone else was going to do this show.
Doppelganger?
Yeah, was it? It was Doppelganger. I'm sure it was. Yes, it was Doppelganger.
Oh, is this the one? Yeah.
And they fell out. I think it was pilot season, whatever. And I remember Bruce coming to me and saying, "Look, Ian, I've just had a call from Larry. Would you be interested in doing another show? And Larry would love you to do it." And I said, "Yes. I mean, it's without a doubt. I'm totally, I'm passionate about the show." And then I stopped for a moment. I said, "When you say the next show, you don't mean the next show like the next show we're going to shoot,
like in an hour.
Tomorrow?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, I mean, I hadn't read the script, and this is like I think this was on the Wednesday, and this show, the reason I knew it was on a Friday, that shot, was because that was when we started shooting this show, and then there was a 3-day weekend. So I shot the first day's work with virtually no prep, and then I think I flew back, and Larry and I talked, and then we went into the whole, and then I went into the whole show. So it was not the normal, normally you have, 7 days prep for a show like this.
Who put you up to this?
I said it never happened, okay? I've never seen you before. Your name isn't Tom Vale. We didn't spend the night together. You don't have a strawberry birthmark on your right shoulder.
What are you talking about?
Oh, please.
Tom goes into a small town where someone else is in business as Tom Vale, photographer. Yet another Nowhere Man sort of catchy intrigue. Now, what's this and who is this? And obviously, there began to grow some sense in the episode that in his possession was something important, a negative, a photograph or something. And that's the doppelganger concept. There's a double out there.
Tom, if they find out that you have this, you know what they can do.
I don't know if I feel as strongly about the material in Doppelganger as I did with Enemy Within and Through a Lens. But again, it's very effective. It works. It's enjoyable. It may not quite engage my passion. And it's interesting that I say that, and it's interesting and probably coincidental that Ian ended up on these bookend shows that examined Tom's life. And interesting that examination always came by some involvement with a woman. It was Maria Bello in Enemy Within, and it was Sydney in Through a Lens. But I guess this is that romantic part of me, that just, there was that shot right out of Oklahoma in Enemy Within where you waited till sunset and they're at the fence and it looks like a 1940s MGM backdrop. It looks like, and I think I'm a sucker for that. I mean, I think if I was crazier than I was, I would have had him sing.
I think that was one of those shots where we really shouldn't have done it. We didn't really have the time to do it, and yet you still go. That was my 600mm shot.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing.
In 25 years of directing, I've been fortunately worked on a lot of great shows, but this, without a doubt, is one of the greatest that I had the opportunity of working on. And considering that was 10 years ago, I'm enormously proud of what we did.
Yeah, me too.
I just hope we can do it again. I would love to do something of that quality and have the opportunity. Certainly in the light of what we can now do technically, we have moved on and advanced to such a great amount in 10 years. We could hit the moon.
Okay, let's go. Let's just
Let's
find a
just
few
do it.
million bucks and
Let's do it.
go do it. I'll call my mom. We got some costumes in the barn. We can put on a show.
We'll bring Tom.